Do you know how powerful you are?
Welcome to Rise Urban Nation.
Welcome everybody to Rise Urban Nation.
Reshaping and elevating your mindset to help you achieve what you believe.
Sometimes we don't even see our own greatness. You can't be what you can't see.
And connecting Black cultures to build a community of talent and success.
Black people need to realize that they are assets. You are an asset.
When we rise, you rise.
Come together as a group.
This is Rise Urban Nation with Terrell Simmons.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. This is your host, Terrell Simmons, welcoming you into the new year. Listen, this first guest that I got on for season 2, Mr. Alan Thornton. He's the founder of Money for Your Mission. He's in that Fintech space. I think I met this brother, if I remember correctly, we met sometime at a startup weekend. Shout out to my brother, my dear brother, Luis Martinez, who hosted those here in San Diego. He is doing some big things with the 40 Acre Conference. It's an event that's coming up that you don't want to miss. And we talk a little bit about blockchain, investment, government. Well, we didn't get too much into the government contracts, but that will be in the space when you go to this conference, and everything you need to know to level up, build community, cash, culture. Let's get into the episode with my brother, Mr. Alan Thornton. All right, we good. My man, brother Alan. Wait, did you have hair on? I could have sworn you had hair.
I had a hat on.
You had a hat on, okay?
Yeah. I know you do a lot of podcasts, man. So that must have been another brother. That wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
It ain't been about 6 years. Yeah. Right when I turned 30, I lost it. So
yeah. Like I'm blessed. I still got a little bit, so I'm gonna rock it as long as I got it. So, but I told
rock while you got it, man.
Yeah.
I still got it. It's just it doesn't grow in as fresh, and it just looks smooth a ball.
Yeah, I told my girl, like, look, soon as you see any patches back there, you let me know. I'm gonna let it go. I ain't one of them brothers trying to hold on to glory days.
Yeah. Try to hold it too long, man. It's like, man, you just look fresher when it's just chopped.
So wait, fresh my memory. I know we linked up. I can't remember how we linked up. How did we link up? Like, was it just through LinkedIn, or like how did we?
I don't know, man. I think one of my boys out there at Startup Grind, because we go out there in Cali. We go to Startup Grind, and Lewis.
Oh yeah, my boy Lewis. He was doing Startup Grind out here.
Yeah. He runs it out there. So we probably got hooked up a while back through him, and I think we just reconnected through LinkedIn.
Gotcha. And where you located at?
I'm in Houston.
All right. H-Town. That's how we get down. That's why I should have known if a brother from Houston was gonna come to the show like this. I was like, okay, he came to do his thing.
Well, so my family's from New York, and my other part of the family's from New Orleans. So we
got the best of both worlds. I'm originally from upstate Rochester, New York.
Rochester. So my first job out of college, I worked for a company called Paychecks, and I spent a little time out in Rochester.
What? See, usually when I mention Rochester, people don't know about Rochester unless you from New York. They're like, "Oh, you from upstate."
508, right?
Yeah, but I grew up in DC, 202. I was just only born in Rochester, and a lot of my family lives up there. So I resonate more with DC than I do with Rochester, New York.
And Rochester's different too, man. It's like every city has a different side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Because we went over there back when I used to always get the fresh fade every week. We had to go to the other side of town to get a haircut.
Okay, all right, okay. I can see we have some little connections there through this interview. So we will definitely get this interview popping. Towards the middle to the end of the interview, I want you to talk about the event that's coming up. That seemed like a spicy event. I wish I could be down there to join. So you have to give me the early invite next time so I can make some trips, like so I can plan that trip out there to be a part of.
I'll tell you early, just from jump right now. We're also doing we do doing 2 events a year, MLK Dream Weekend and also the Juneteenth Freedom Festival.
Okay.
They're both 40-acre conference events.
Nice. Wait, how did you come up with that name, 40 Acre?
So you want to start you want to go on the interview, or just
okay.
you know,
let me start the interview, because me and you will pack it into the organic conversation, and then it'll just start free flowing from there. Anyways, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. Your host Terrell Simmons in the building. I got a special guest in the building today, Mr. Alan Thornton. And man, for those who are gonna get the visual experience, my brother came. We look like we about to hit the red carpet. He made me go change my outfit. I still ain't up to the nines like him. But Mr. Alan, welcome. How are you today, sir?
Man, it's a pleasure to be here. And, every gift, every different day, that's why they call it the present. I'm glad to be here, man. It's New Year's Eve, too, so I had to come with it, even though it's 7 a.m.,
Yeah, I appreciate you. Like, he sent me this event from his company, 40 Acre Online, and we're going to get into that in the podcast episode. But before I get to that, I got to ask you, like, your company, 40 Acres, like, I don't know, as soon as I saw today, I was like, he must be working with the 40 Acre and the Mule Project. He must be with that boy Spike Lee and them. But how did you come up with that name? I just got to ask.
Yeah, so no, that's kind of the exact effect. People love it or hate it, right? Yeah. Right away. So I'm a very direct person. So I like people that are either in or out and nothing in between. Yeah. So the story behind the 40 Acre conference comes with a few different things with it. You didn't know you were going to get a history lesson.
I did it, but I love it. I'm here.
No, this early in the morning, man. So the 40 Acre conference comes from the culmination of a few things that have happened to me personally and professionally, and also going back in history. So just a little bit about me, and y'all might hear it in my voice. My family, originally, I grew up and I went to high school, finished up in Fort Bliss, which is located in El Paso, Texas, right? That's why there's brothers out there. Yeah. My family is originally from the mom side is from the Bronx, dad side is from New Orleans. So you hear a little twang in my voice, the best of both worlds. Yeah. But with all that said, growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of money, but we did the best we had with what we got, right? Mm-hmm. And then I eventually went to school and I went to college. Now, during that time, a few of us either went to the military or growing up real early, there was a prophecy that was given to us by teachers that said, hey, you'll probably either end up dead or in jail by the time you're 18.
Mm.
And a lot of times that happened to us, right? When we were 18. So some of those same things happened in the early and late 1800s, right before slavery ended. And they were given a prophecy and they were given promises that were supposed to happen to them, right? When the freedmen, in 1863, when it was when the slaves got freed, but then 1865, it didn't come down until Texas. That's why we also have the Juneteenth Freedom Festival coming up in June. Happened. There was supposed to be given 40 acres and a mule. And history, this is a long answer, but it comes up. History tends to repeat itself. Mm-hmm. You see the things, and I'm in Houston, Texas, with George Floyd and everything happened with Ahmaud Arbery. Mm-hmm. The same kind of things were echoed. Hey, there's some bad things that happened to the Black community. Let's commit a bunch of money, right? How much you got? I got 30 million. I got 100 million. I got 500 million. I got $1 billion. I got 30 billion. The numbers started getting ridiculous. Just like, for how many acres you got? You got a half acre. I got 40. Let's commit it. And if we don't, it was a good plan. Unfortunately, there was very little execution. They didn't know who to give it to, and they had no way to manage it. Same thing with the corporations, and some of the government officials today are saying, we're committing this. And the same things that are happening back then are happening now. Mm-hmm. Well, how much have you deployed? Well, it's a 2-year commitment, right? Oh, no. It's a 5-year commitment. Hold on. We're going to roll this thing out over 10 years. So, and eventually it just disappears. Yeah. So if we don't put on events to make these corporations not feel threatened, but feel comfortable to deploy the money that they've already committed to, the budgets, it's not my budget, it's their budget, right? And put the people the government officials, the celebrities, the influencers, the entrepreneurs in the same room and create that group economics. Like, I was at the Tulsa Centennial, like what happened with Black Wall Street. Let's do all this and eliminate excuses and actually make it happen, right? Let's not spark the conversation. I stopped going to town halls, man, because people want to spark the conversation. And then what happens at the end is I'm sparked. What do we do next? So these 40-acre conferences, we're doing 2 conferences. We do the MLK June weekend. We're doing the Juneteenth Freedom Festival. And then we'll do pop-ups all over, right? In New York and in Miami and Atlanta and Inglewood and Detroit and Chicago, all the way through just to implement what we're actually talking about here, which is Cashflow community and culture.
Ooh, I love that. I'm glad you took the long route to the answer. Me and my business partner was just talking about that because we was like, it's been 2 years since Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd and all that stuff kicked off. And I remember seeing all of that. Oh, we're gonna give $1 million. We gonna put 10% of our profits. We got I remember seeing all that stuff, and I was like, what happened to all that money? And then I'm glad you doing your thing. I'm gonna join you in that because we're gonna launch a campaign next year called Run the Receipts. A spinoff of our because Rise Urban Nation stands for Run, because we run things, we run culture, we run businesses, we're successful at doing it. We just want to highlight more people doing it. But now I want to run the receipts. All you people who said y'all was giving money, I want to see the receipts. Who did you give to? What and what effects did you change? And if you didn't, don't worry. Let me help you. I've interviewed a whole bunch of entrepreneurs that are doing things. Let's run the receipts to them. You want put some money in a conference? Oh, my brother, I know. I just interviewed him. You give $1 million over here. That'll help him run his programs. What else you want to do? I got somebody in your town. I promise you.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and you see that, and what the way say where the cash at? Right, we're asking. Where the cash at? Because there's so many things that have happened. And even as a tech entrepreneur, there's things that we sometimes don't talk about, but we all struggle with access to capital. Yeah. Right? We'd be so much farther along if we had some of the access. We've had to kind of pivot and change our business model just because we didn't have enough cash. And you saying you got $100 billion? Oh, yeah. Give me a bit, right? Yeah. So we can expand and we're not just saying, hey, give it to me. Let me show you. Here's my proposal. Here's my presentation. We're not asking you with a handout. Yeah. One of the things my grandfather told me, we do a lot of pop-up at barbershops, not just because I'm vertically challenged on the hair side, but keep this back. But some of the barbershops is where you get some of your best game. And I remember my grandfather telling me one time, and I remember this was in a barbershop. I was no older than like 8 years old, and he said, "Son, here's what you got to realize about this world. You are going to have to, as an African-American male, you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half as much. And the day that you realize that it doesn't matter if it's not fair, it doesn't matter if other people are getting, the day that you realize that and know and strive to make it happen with what you got, that's when you'll win. The day that you say, well, I just want my handout and, give me something because what I've gone through and what my cousins, ancestors, brother, mother, sister, cousin, look at what's happened. That's the day that you become a victim and you'll never get out of that cycle.
So true.
So long answer to people hear 40 acres and a mule, and a lot of people attribute that to both. It doesn't matter if you are a minority or not a minority. A lot of people think that's about reparations and something. That's fine if we get it. But so there's a brother, and you should interview him too, named David Chance. He's out of Atlanta.
Okay.
Sleeps for Sneakers, right? And he has his whole slogan is he has a T-shirt, and it's incredible. It says 40 acres and a mule. We're gonna go get 40 acres and a mule. Y'all can keep the mule.
I love that.
So we got to go get it ourselves, man.
All right.
We got to go. Once we realize that we're more powerful than we ever thought, believed, or imagined, and we come together and pull our resources together, we'll be unstoppable, man.
Yeah. I agree, and that's part of the reason why I started this podcast. Another reason too is I like to highlight people like yourself, because me and you, we come from neighborhoods where our parents didn't have it like that. We come from areas where they had it like that. We got it out the mud, right? And I used to, just like you doing these conferences, I used to do like events, going back to school, speaking to these youth. And I realized a lot of the things that are broken is mindset, and there wasn't enough of them seeing us doing things. Now, I don't know about you. I ain't never seen, like, growing up, a black tech entrepreneur or somebody in the tech industry like that. So how did you get into this game? Like, because I always like going to the backstory so people can see your journey. And then, you going to inspire somebody, a young adult, a middle-aged person who probably like stuck in a dead-end job. So how did you get into the tech industry, and who was, tell me your story into, getting into this field?
Yeah, man, you're so right. And that's why we put on these conferences, because you're right. We read what we see.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I can remember another time coming out of a barbershop and asking my mom, seeing this dude coming through, and he had, at that time, my dream car has always been a Land Rover, a Range Rover.
Yeah.
And I saw him driving that. And unfortunately, where I grew up, the people that had the nice cars and had the nice things, the things that you want, you believe that you need at that age, right, mm-hmm. to come up, they weren't tech entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. They weren't eloquent businessmen. Yeah. They were. This wasn't legal, right? They were the pimps, the players, the hustlers, which was what we saw. Mm-hmm. And growing up, that's what we wanted to be. And, I remember asking him, hey, can I work for you? I didn't even know what he did. And my mom got in between us and said, look, don't you ever contact my son. And she made me promise her, not to be and sell illegal drugs. Yeah. Now some of those are legal, so Mama, we may have to have a conversation. but a few of these things, man, I got into it just by necessity, just like everything in my life has been by necessity. Mm-hmm. Coming out of college, once I got to college, and I went to school in Texas, mm-hmm. and unfortunately, y'all just beat us. UTSA, we had a hell of a season, and San Diego beat us in the bowl game. But
my apologies.
Yeah, it's all good. At that time, though, the African American graduation population was only in a 5-year period was less than 6%, and we said, man, that's unacceptable. It has to be better. We got to be better. We got to do better. So, in addition to joining, some of the other organizations and fraternities that a few of us joined, we also started a community service organization called Men of Honor, where we did both campus and community involvement, and we really started getting involved. Mm-hmm. And from that, we wanted to expand after college, but we didn't have a lot of money. So there was a system called grants that we heard about that we would love to be a part of, but they were like unicorns. We never really knew how to get them. We didn't know how to even start. So I actually paid somebody to help me, and they stole our money.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah. So, okay, well, this system's broken. We got to get into that. So that's when we started a Fintech platform mm-hmm. to start gearing that up. And then the evolution of that, we started winning grants. We started winning government contracts mm-hmm. For our clients. We started, getting into the capital game. And then seeing this over the last few years, it's like, look, we're doing all of this for everybody, which is great, which is noble. Mm-hmm. But there's $100 billion over here that is already allocated that nobody's really going after. Mm-hmm. If there's somebody else really going after it, let's support them or tracking them. Yeah. But there wasn't. So we're like, okay, the what we can do is highlight other people that are doing things in grants and government contracts. And let's go track that, and let's put a platform for everybody to win. If you're in real estate, stocks, NFTs, if you have made it, we want other people to see that, and we want people to enroll in your platform and these corporations to support the good things that you're already doing. Everything that you just said, yeah. We just created a platform to do it, not only physically, so we be what we see, but also virtually, interactively, and 24/7, and being able to see and get Cashflow community and culture wherever you are in the world, and really be able to, support these entrepreneurs and get the resources from government officials, get the resources from corporations, get the resources, not only financially, a lot of them have in-kind resources that you can use as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's corporations and large corporations that have media, right? You think about ads, and we're running ads, and there's big Fortune 500 tech companies that'll give you $10,000 a month. That'll give you, $5,000 a month in ad spend on their platforms, right? If you know about it, if you know how to apply for it, right? And they've committed billions of dollars to our community, but we just got to go get it. Yeah. So that's what we aim to do.
I love what you just said there. You gave them the triple C's. I don't know if you call it that, but I'm a coin it the triple C's: cash flow, community, and culture. That's big right there. That's a bar. If nobody heard or caught that.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, business is cool, but at the end of the day, we're all in the people business, and being minority, we like to have a good time too, right? You see me here, this ascot tie and this, this tuxedo comes off. It's just New Year's Eve, but we like to have a good time, and it's okay to. Some of the best events and some of the biggest business relationships and clients I have are those who I really got a chance to chop it up with, right? Really got a chance to understand not only who they are as a person, but really get ingrained in their family and with their kids, and be at birthdays and understand some of the back roots and some of the things that they do. When I went to Tulsa, man, they showed us so much love. And I just came into the city, and like within, I'd say 24 to 48 hours, we were around and we were at somebody, we went to church with somebody, we were at somebody's, house, like right away eating barbecue. We were talking about how things, can change. We were with the city councilman we were at an art fair and talking about how to bring new art in this big art exhibit. I was with the city manager of another city. Like, that's how it should be every time we should come in. If we have a goal, if we have a strategy, if we have an initiative. So many times we come into places, but we don't have a plan. Like, we don't know what we're really trying to accomplish. And if we all say, hey, I'm coming here to do this, I'm big on visualization and manifestation. It'll happen, right? Like, I spend my first 15 minutes of every day, and I don't inflict my beliefs on anybody else, but I believe spending that first 15 minutes, not only spending time with yourself in meditation, but understanding whoever it is, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Catholic, spending some time with that higher power and really finding out what your purpose is, right? Because the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why.
I love it.
And once you figure out why, man, you'll be driven every single minute of every second of every day. And even when it's hard, you'll be able to keep going. If it's just for the money, and we've made a lot of money, blessed for that. We have lost a lot of money, and we're blessed for that, right? Because that's obstacles that we can turn into opportunity. And if we can share our stories with each other and not just say, okay, well, I got it. Sometimes we don't got it. And that's okay, right? If I don't got it, hey, how can, man, I ran into this, and this. So many times, if we can just ask, can you help me? That's a word that in our culture, man, and we got to get that out. We don't like to ask for help.
And I think in our culture, a lot of that has to do with pride and ego, and then the norms of like, oh, you gotta have it, you gotta be the big tough guy, you gotta have figured it out, and all that gets in the way. All that competition and ego and pride gets in the way. And when you set that to the side and you can say, look, you know what, I really ain't got this, but I see you doing this. How can I learn from you? And then how can I help? And then would you be willing to teach me? And then, each one teach one. There might be some things you could teach that fella, right? From a loss, from an L you took, from a mistake you made, to help his process better, right? So and that's where we get back to that community piece, right? And learning how to break bread with each other, just like all the other. You see other people in business and other cultures do it, and I think us getting organized and doing it is going to be the way to our success. So I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
I want to transition just a little bit. I want to go because I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna take you way back to a question because sometimes something that blocks people's mindset is just that ability to start where you're at and then that take that momentum. Just don't worry about getting the $1 million deal. Worry about just starting that first good product, right? And then refining that idea. And then sometimes it might not even start where the initial idea started. Sometimes when kids saw me, there's like, oh man, they got a black brother doing diversity, equity, inclusion, and you running like HR and these companies. I was like, yeah, well, I can't start there, right? Like I can't do that because there's only one of you, or I don't have the foundation. But I tell them, what my first job was? This is where I started. Now I'm here. Like the old Drake song, started from the bottom. Now we here, right? So I want to ask you all that to say, what was your first job, and what was something that you learned that you kind of still take with you to this day?
Yeah. So my first job, I actually had to. So let's call it this: my first place of employment, right? Growing up, I was always hustling. When I was 5 years old, like I used to always ask people if I thought they looked like they had bread, I would ask them, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can help you? And they were surprised. They'd see this little kid and they're like, well, I need there's a lot of weeds out there. And I remember I never used to quote things by the hour. They said, hey, I need weeds pulled. And I said, okay, 2 for 25 cents. How's that? I'll go pull them and you come back. But then they didn't know how many weeds they had. And I would come back and they're like, dang. And that it would come out to $20, $30. If they paid me by the hour at that time, right, when I was 5 years old, early 90s, that would have been, $5 an hour maybe. Yeah. And then you come back and get a quick $30, $40 as a kid. My mom was like, go do that again.
Yeah, right? Run that back. That was a good play.
Back. So, and I sold CDs coming up, and I had to go into work because my mom thought I was pushing weight because I had so much before. I remember I asked for a burner, and this is way before other people had burners. This was like 6th, 7th grade. So we're talking 98, 99. And before everybody had burners. Mm-hmm. And I asked for a burner for Christmas. They were super expensive. And I said, I'll pay you back. And I always pay my parents back. So they were my first investors. Like, you're going to pay us back and you want this for Christmas and you're going to be happy? I bet. Mm-hmm. And burners were like $500 back then. So I got a burner and we started selling CDs. But we got, not knowing and being naive as a kid, the way that we were marketing and the things that we were doing probably could have landed us in jail even for CDs because people were getting popped for Napster. We would go into, you remember FYE?
Yeah, I remember that.
CD store? We would go into the CD store, see people looking at it and like, oh, you want that? Look, you about to spend $40. That's when I understood total cost of ownership, right? And 3 things why people buy: reduce cost, reduce risk, or increase revenue. So if I could reduce your cost and get you the same product, and I'll let you listen to it before anything comes up, I'll swap it out. That was my pitch. And they would spend $40. They're going to spend $40 there. I said, look, I'll do the same thing, and I'll get you those 4 CDs for $20, half the cost. If anything comes wrong with it, I'll swap it out. And I had a line of people outside of FYE messing with me, right? And they were like, what? And my mom's like, look, what do you got? You're too hot, right? Don't do it. I bought my first car from CD. Wow. Right? We had the CD game going at 3 different schools. And then she started seeing on the news, people getting popped and people getting examples made. Even though it wasn't a legal product, the copyright rules and everything was, necessarily illegal. So I was like, Mom, I didn't know all that. She's like, look, I'd rather you stop this now and say you don't know while you're sitting in my living room and not be sitting in a jail cell. Yeah. So you got to go get a job. So then we went to, at that time, my first job was at Albertsons and I was a courtesy clerk. And man, the money just wasn't fast enough. You know what I'm saying? I went to popping CDs here and there.
I don't think you was just cut for that life. Some people just not cut for the corporate life.
No, wasn't. But here's the thing. I understood the platform, and I understood I had all these customers coming through needing new things. So then I started selling watches and chains out of my trunk at the grocery store, right? Because you take their car, you take their groceries out. Let me help you out. And every time I'd go out, not only would I get caught, I'd find a few customers, write some things on their car, and be like, "Hey, man, just check me out. I see your chain. I can get you something else." I started selling chain, and that became a platform. Now I have a spot that people can centrally meet me at. Right. They know I'm there, and I'm getting paid at the job. So we turned that into a platform.
Man, you were just a natural hustler. I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know.
Yeah. And then like the sales, and this is before like Amazon, but Amazon was around, but it wasn't hot like it is now.
Yeah.
So there'd be these crazy sales, right? And we would know about them before everybody else. The general manager said, "Man, I need to get rid of all this stuff because he has his next season stuff coming in." So I'd buy it all, right? I'd get a whole paycheck, buy all the Christmas stuff, get a whole paycheck, buy all the Halloween stuff, right? And put it in the room, my mom's house. And then I'd sell it, either some of that stuff on eBay or wait till the next year.
Okay.
So we just had we had a whole thing going, man.
Yeah. You was just meant for the tech industry.
It was humbling though. It was humbling because, you know, as a courtesy clerk and bagging people's groceries, you also learn about customer service. Yeah. And you also know good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, you're treated the worst in the store. The general manager thinks you're nothing, right? The cashiers, you're below them, right? And people are like, "Dude, why don't you move up and become a cashier?" I'm like, I move up and become a cashier, I'm actually losing money. Y'all don't understand that, but that $2 an hour raise, I'm losing $20 that I'm making at my trunk, right? Going back. So I'll be a courtesy clerk, and they didn't understand it. But yeah, I was a big Cash Money fan back then. I remember Master P's story and how he came up.
Out the trunk.
I remember watching that. Yeah, out the trunk, man. So I'm like, yeah, I was all into that. I need to be selling things out of my trunk. I was a Cash Money millionaire in my head before, you know, I made.
Matter of fact, Master P, the reason why Cash Money, well, he wasn't the reason why they got they deal, but he was the one that put them on. Actually, they wanted him to coach them through like the whole deal, and and do a joint venture together. That just didn't work off. But they took the same blueprint and model that Master P did in their deal.
Dude, it was all because of Master P, right? All them, Lil Wayne Silk, babe, all them came up, right? And that was all in New Orleans. So you was kind of like the Master P in your industry at that time. In the grocery bag industry, yeah, man. Yeah.
Just to put some relevance. All right, so hold on, Fat. So I love that story. Look at my man started, everything that you learned just from that hustle, and it gave you some business acumen. People don't realize that. I just want you to focus in on that. And then the foundational structure of being in that Albertsons gave you systems, platform, and you start to learn how you can use platforms to build and grow, which probably followed you into, your career today. Now, I am curious though, how does a tech guy go into doing events? Like, how did that pop off?
Well, so here's the thing. I learned this too. Here's the big thing. People be what they see, right? And we had to kind of change our platform because something else that I learned from a friend out of New Orleans, Savitra Wilson, she has a book called Making My First Million. She made it her first million when she was 22. And she's actually one of our strategic partners that we work on some of our stuff and send the business, and they get some work done for us. But your question of how we go into events during the pandemic, man, it was by any means necessary. And we had a lot of clients, and what we figured out, and one of the concepts in that book she talked about, is hustling backwards, right? We have a lot of, and hustle is a gift or a curse, depending on how you use it. Because a lot of times you can hustle so hard, you forget about some of the economics and underlying. You're like, I'm getting new customers, I'm getting new clients, I'm getting new money, but then your platform costs rise, or your cost of goods sold rise, and you could have every customer you can bring on you're actually losing money, right? And we were at that point. So we had to do some things to pivot. And then we got some larger clients, which was very good. And we wanted to still gear up some of those smaller clients, especially in this space, right? Especially being in a space where there's a lot of money out there. But here's how we think as a people, right? As talking African Americans, if it's not, what's the kickoff? Okay, you started the platform, that's cool. But if there's an event, right? If there's an event, if I see it, if there's who's involved, and the best way, instead of going onesie twosies and getting all these people, I've been to Afrotech, I've been to Essence Festival, I've been to Startup Grind, I've been to Invest Fest, and I see all these people illuminate their platform in a matter of a weekend, right? And that's because an event. So instead of paying for a marketing, instead of calling all these people just and saying, hey, do you want to be a part of our platform? And let me think about it. Hey, would you like to speak at this conference that's about Cashflow community and culture? They say yes to that. And then you already have them. Well, you spoke at the conference. Now let's keep this going and be on this platform. What can you be on? And, you get a small platform fee and a rev share. You got an influencer for your new tech platform. from jump, right? So it's a whole different model. Yeah. I mean, you got to do whatever you can. And a lot of times, people will question you. And some of the biggest, whatever community that you're doing, and let me be 100 with you, me to you, even putting on these events, creating these platforms, especially for the African-American community, the biggest resistance I get is from who?
Yeah.
Us, man. Are you kidding me? It's like, bro, I'm trying. This is for us. I'm trying to work together. Well, I don't know if that's going to work. Tell me when it's done. Maybe I'll show up. And that's part of the reason, to answer your other question, why an event, so they can see that other people are involved, because they may not know you. They may have resistance. They may have 100 things going through their mind. They may not want to be a part of it, but there's an event and there's somebody else that they're trying to get at. They're like, okay, I'll come through. If it's just a platform, there's 1,000 platforms. What's different? So, yeah, you just trying to switch it up, man, by any means necessary. I told myself and I told my family, we will until.
I love that. And I think once we congregate and we get into community, then we start to develop that trust. We start to develop the relationships and we start to see the value. And so I appreciate you sharing that, and then us just being able to talk about it here. Now, I know you're going to inspire somebody with, all your puns, your words of wisdom, and them hearing your story. And I always like to get practical, stuff for folks, for that young person that's hearing, and they're inspired by your story. What steps would you say you kind of took to get into your career in business when you speak into the fintech and the event space industry? What tangible steps could a person take that you can kind of give them off your steps that you took?
I appreciate that. One of the things that we have to learn and we have to be okay with as a people, there's so many of us, instead of one of my best friends out of Inglewood, California, we went to college together, and he's been successful and, has created millions of dollars in his space in a couple different spaces, has the huge Black-owned co-working space right on Crenshaw, right on the other side of Nipsey spot, down the street, right next to, the eighth wonder of the world, right, where the Super Bowl is going to be held. But we had a conversation the other night and just vibing with him, and we've always been able to talk, right, openly. And I'm like, man, I'm giving more resistance from my own community. And he's like, bro, who you telling? We are the first to support other platforms before we support our own. And here's the biggest thing, and here's the tangible step. When you're planning, right, vision, always think big. When you think about progress, always think small. And small is start. Right? Because so many times, just get started. Go with what you go. I grew up watching a lot of Les Brown, and he's like, people wait until they get their ducks in a row. You ain't never going to have the ducks in a row. Just go. What you got? I don't have shoes on. Well, just go. Go with that. Go without any shoes. Just get going. Because so many times, most people in life are spectators. And the people that will criticize you, right? Even if it's, and I ran a marathon a couple years ago when my grandfather died to run some, to raise some money. But the people that will criticize you the most about how far you ran or how fast you go are the people that haven't even started.
Yeah.
Every single time. So just get started, man.
Yeah, you know, Jay-Z has he in one of his interviews he said, you know, sometimes you got to ignore that noise. You know, my uncle, he used to, you know, earlier in my career, he used to tell me like, oh, you sold a couple of CDs, so what you think, you gonna sell 1 million CDs? You ain't never gonna sell 1 million of these. You ain't never gonna sell 1 million records. He's like, I sold 1 million records like over 1,000.
Yeah. Even I remember that. He said that I sold 1 million records like 1 million times. Like and it'll never be good enough for some people. So that's what we really want to filter. And I was told, hey man, you may want to water down the name. That's a little too strong. Like if you're gonna do the 40 acre, there's a lot of things. Well, I want people in or out, nothing more, nothing less. Now, we did do it to be more inclusive because we want everybody to be involved. So our events are the MLK Dream Weekend and the Juneteenth Freedom Festival, because this is not about just the Black community. It's about anybody of any race, of any color that wants to support and uplift the Black community. Right?
I love it. So tell me more about the event. What's the experience like? What are people going to see? Like, what give me through the feeling, the emotion. Who gonna be there? What they gonna be talking about? Yeah.
So the premise behind the weekend is Cashflow, community, and culture. We'll have 20 different panels, but the big vision. Let's talk about the vision, right? Not only Cashflow, community, and culture. MLK Dream Weekend. It's all about economic empowerment. So when you think about, and we just got done with the holidays here, or we're in a holiday right now, but by comparison, right? African Americans as a whole in this nation, we have a buying power of about 1.2 trillion with the T dollars, right? Trillion. Now, Black Friday every single year is a $10 billion holiday in one day, right? Now, people don't have to think about what they do on Black Friday. What do? We
go shop.
We spend money. Deals. So if we just, with our buying power, with our narrative, what we do, have, want, imagine, need, whatever that is, if we can change the narrative on one weekend. If MLK, we said MLK Black Monday, if we change the narrative and say, look, we're going to spend money on this day with African-American businesses, regardless if I'm African-American or not, we're going to spend money on this day that can be $1 billion holiday overnight. Now, when you think about vision and plans, that's big. When you think about progress, that's small. So these events, especially that one, MLK Dream Weekend, is to kick off the culmination of that. So we're bringing vendors together. We're bringing tech entrepreneurs. We're bringing people from real estate, stocks, NFTs, people that are formerly incarcerated. Everybody on that panel, and we have 20 different panels on different topics. There's somebody on that panel that has made at least $1 million in that, whatever that respective field is. Even if it's in mindset, we're talking about mental health, right? And we have people that have entrepreneurs that have revolution, even when it's talking about spirituality, people that have used their spirituality to make it, people that are formerly incarcerated that now have clinics all over the U.S. when they told them they couldn't work a job, so they had to work another way, and now they're multimillionaire, right? People in NFTs and the metaverse, which is things that we don't really even understand yet. And if we don't understand it, we're going to be just employed by it instead of being empowered by it and being able to actually own a piece of it. So all of this is people that said how to make our first million, right? People that have made $1 million, not only in entrepreneur, which is always sexy and people don't know, it's a grind. Working for yourself. If you don't like your employer and you go to work to yourself, there's nobody else to say, hey, I don't like my boss. It's only you, right? I don't like my boss. I'm a change. And it's a grind, right? So sometimes it's not that bad to stay. And we're talking about people that have made $1 million on their job and put that in other things, in real estate and stocks and, NFTs and crypto, and have made a ton of money. So all of that. And then each day has a different theme. So we have a special guest on Friday that's going to do our Fireside chat. That has been in a lot of areas that we're interested in. He owns ABA teams. He was in crypto back in 2009 when Bitcoin was right? Made hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Has big in the NFT game before NFTs were big, is building an underwater NFT museum.
Some of us don't even NFT museum.
Swim, Matt. Some of us don't even know how to swim. And he's building some of us don't know what an NFT is. So
now, hold on. Yeah. So let's pause on that real quick because we've been dropping NFTs all through, and some people still don't even know what that is. So for the listeners who don't know what that is, what is the NFT?
Bro, so when you think about different markets, and you talked about Jay-Z, people don't understand there's multiple markets for one product, right? You have your vertical market, you have the different vertical in the industry, and you have your horizontal market of the products. You have your chronological market, right? And that became big here in Houston. You see it in stocks, options, people sell futures. Now you also have your parallel market, and that's your NFTs, right? Where there can be something physical in this world that can also be sold in a digital world. The other day, I just saw Polo opened up a store, not in Mulan, not in New York,
in the
metaverse, selling digital clothes.
Crazy. Right? And they taking all the designs from the 90s hip hop era and selling them in there. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Right. And it's a $50 trillion industry. If we don't get on it now, we're just going to own the second, third hand, right? We gotta grab that up. People are selling whole buildings in the metaverse. They're selling land. They're selling plots in the metaverse, right? So we got to understand this, and this is the land grab. We talk about 40 acres, and you can go get 40 acres in the metaverse right now for pennies on the dollar.
You know, it's crazy, like just seeing all this take off. When I first kind of heard about this concept, you know, rest in peace, Nipsey, when Nipsey did the whole like album release, and he had this like digital, I think it was a digital token or something where you could get the album. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So that's the first time I kind of, had an introductory to blockchain and NFT, but didn't really understand it. Then, it started popping off a little, years later. And I was like, so that's what that is. Right. And I think it's just a game changer. Now, I know you yourself, you're a blockchain investor. When you look at this industry, what does the future look like for us in this industry? Like, what does it look like to you for the future for us in this industry?
Dude, it's infinite. So creativity is the culmination of everything that you've ever wanted to happen, and any concept you can put your creativity and manifest anything that you want. Mm-hmm. Right? If you think about your clothes, think about your shoes, think about your cars, think about your real estate, anything. The people that are most creative will create more, right? You're going to think about, there's going to be people that are doing real estate, and I grew up in real estate, that are wholesaling lease options for houses in a digital metaverse, right? Things that we don't even like, concepts that are so crazy. It's whatever that you can really create in this next era. And we're going to see a lot of money that's being dumped. Mm-hmm. And once we come together and hold all of these corporations accountable to put money, we're going to see a ton of that going to the metaverse, because it's a market that they want to go in. And if a few of our creative minds can really work together, and when we say work together, we would rather have 100% of a grape than a slice of a watermelon. I love it. And if we can just say, look, man, I don't know how to do this, but I'm really good at this. Can you help me with this so we can go get this? Nah. And if we can start doing that, the blockchain in the metaverse world it's literally out of this world.
Yeah. Now, this is the first time I'm excited about it, just because, we are one of the most creative people on the planet. Like, you know, for the, if you see how we create culture, music industry, television industry, whatever it is, like even in slavery, we would take, we take the whole hall, we take chitlins and make it taste good, right? We create something.
Here's the intestine. There's a throwaway. That's throwaway, man.
Yeah.
Here's the. You want the tail? Take the tail.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we, you know, and unlike, you know, the music industry where there's certain people controlling it and owning it and just giving us the pennies off of it, we can go and do it for ourselves. Like I saw Tory Lanez do this. He said it wasn't even his best work. He just released something. He made like 500,000 in 2 minutes, and it was crazy. And it was straight directly telling me, no, he didn't have to pay the record label. He ain't owe nobody. It was, he created something, put it out there, and he got straight in touch with the fans and the people who wanted it, bought it, rose the price up, and the money's still going up on it. And
there's residuals on it too.
Yeah, residuals on it. That's crazy. Like,
because even if you buy it, and so here's Mr. Watley who come through. He kind of operates in stealth mode, but he owns a couple ABA stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and also doubles them as EA Sports arenas, and also, man, I don't know why I'm giving you some game that he get, and he's selling each seat as an NFT seat. So if there's an arena, you can sell the seat, and then you get 10% of the sales for life. So think about that. If we start buying stadiums, and not only like stadiums and owning them. And you think about a hot season ticket, right? Everybody's team's hot, or whether they're not, if they're in a good market, or even if they're in a terrible market, there's loyal fans.
Mm-hmm.
But if you create an NFT out of that same physical seat and then get residuals off of, even if you pass the tickets on, still get a residual off that,
mm-hmm.
right? And then the owner raises a bunch of money from selling the seats from jump, and they talk about access to capital. He's teaching us how to raise, like, it's a whole nother level, man. I spent some time with him, and he was teaching us about crypto. Like, he's rolling with people that have billions of dollars off the record.
Wow.
In places that we don't even understand.
Look, me and you and him, we got to set up a meeting, because I think this was God's plan, because another guy was telling me, like, he was giving me some game the other day. He's like, look, you know what you should do? You got season 1 done of your podcast, and you're about to do season 2. You should turn each episode into an NFT, give it to the individual you did it with, and then you have certain NFTs out for just that piece of history. I was like, wait, what? That's possible? He's like, yeah.
And the good thing is that NFTs and putting it on blockchain record, and going back to some of the early days, a lot of the good thing about blockchain is there's audit records that are not changeable.
Yeah.
Right. You talk about Tulsa and some of the things that happened there. The land just got changed. Right. Riots happened, and you owned it. Oh, no. You didn't own this. You own that over there. And it's a piece of, it was so much rubble and so much. And it's, it's going to cost $100,000 to fix that. How much do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, here's 2 cents. Or you have to pay me $100,000. What do you want to do? What can you do? And we're going to take you to the other side of town to this camp where we're probably going to kill you. What do you want to do?
It's crazy.
Man, hearing some of those stories. Have you ever been to Tulsa?
No, I've never been.
So it was my first time, and before I went there, one of my boys said, look, once you get there, you can feel the actual energy and some of the things that were happening once you step in there. And you may even hear, like, and this is crazy. This is a little out there, man. He said sometimes you can hear some of the echoes and some of the voices, right? If you have a purpose or something and you go there at night, like, I know this is a little out there, right? And I know this dude's crazy.
Nah.
But you go there, you can hear the voices of whatever your purpose is. Go down to Tulsa, and you can feel the energy of people pushing you forward, because they know that you're meant to help push this narrative forward. What they did in Black Wall Street, we're still trying to do today. Because here, a lot of us, if we want to build a let's say we want to build an establishment. We want to own everything. What they did is O.W. Gurley and J.B. Stratford, right? The biggest luxury hotel before the Hilton, before the Marriott, who built their models after them, right? He not only said, hey, I just want to own the hotel. He could have said, I want to own the hotel. I want to own the barbershop. I want to own the cleaners. I want to own this. But he said, let me help you. Let me put you on a platform so you can do all that. And it grew like wildfire. And I believe if that kept on going, man, that's why it couldn't. They had to destroy it.
Well, they had to. They couldn't have any blueprints left behind.
But the blueprints, yeah, that's a good thing. And the thing, and you asked about blockchain, about this new age. If there's any blueprints that are built, they can't be changed this time.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be there.
It's gonna be there forever. That's why I love that. And I don't think anything you say is crazy. Like, you know, if anything, the fact that we meet and then you talk about that big energy. My sister-in-law, she made these bracelets that I'm showing you right here. And
okay.
I don't know if you see the word in there. So she asked you a series of these questions, and then whatever word comes to mind, that's what she makes the types into or imprints into the bracelet. And my word was energy, because you know, energy has transformed me, it's carried me, it's what has helped me to do the work that I do. And people always say, I you know, man, you know, your energy, man, it is just changed the room, it's changing this company, So I'm an energy guy. So I definitely believe in that energy. So I'm a firm believer. So it ain't weird to me at all.
Appreciate that.
What's one good lesson life has taught you?
The only way to truly fail is to quit. And I can even tell you, even putting on and pivoting, sometime you have this big vision. I had a huge vision for what we wanted to start out with, even with this 40-acre conference. And, you know, even if, and we'll actually know today, even if we don't get some of the support and have a bigger vision as we do, and we see things happen with COVID, especially during this time, we're still going to, and I'll give you a link too, we're still going to have a virtual component. Right, we're still not going to quit. We're still going to do things no matter what. And then the next time, right, whoever shows up will have a bigger. It'll get big. It's just progress. Just don't quit. Don't quit. Man. We've had people, and I've seen, and ask for help. Yeah. Don't quit and ask for help. Like there's so many of us that have dealt with heartache. And I remember in real estate, and I've made a lot of money, and I've lost a lot of money. And in the beginning, you know, there's so many lessons that I probably could have learned even more if I just asked for more help. I paid for help sometimes, and there's other people that I could have just asked for help or go shadow them or go showed up at their office. And a lot of times we don't do that because we just say, hey, man, we got it. And, you know, sometimes we don't got it, and that's okay. We're putting on these big conferences not because we have it all figured out. I don't know a lot about NFTs. I didn't know a lot about blockchain. I know the basis of it. There's some areas that I still don't know about creating your own coin with crypto. There's some areas in stock I don't know, but I asked for help. Hey, who's an expert in this? Come pull up. I'm going to be in the audience taking notes too. And, you know, let's push our community forward.
Love that. Man, MLK weekend, January 14th to the 17th, Houston, Texas. If you don't know, now you know.
And there's virtual too. So if you're out of town, wherever you are, pull up.
Oh, shoot. I didn't know there was a virtual. Now that's a game changer right there.
Yeah. So a lot of people have been saying that too. And a couple of people say, oh man, what happens if COVID? Hey, no. We're still going to make it happen. Yeah. So wherever you are in the country, come through.
Man. So yeah, it's virtual too, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to drop the link in the show notes at the end of this episode. Oh man, there's so much other things I want to talk to you about, but I try to keep these podcasts to like what used to be a drive time. So let's end it off like this. What projects are you currently working on, and where can people find you?
Excellent. So the main project that we're working on, as you can see, is the 40-acre conference, and that is the foundation for the 40-acre plan, which is a plan with government officials, celebrities, influencers, entrepreneurs all over the country to gain cash flow, community, and culture. So if you buy a ticket to the 40 Acre Conference, you will automatically be enrolled in our tech platform for the 40 Acre Plan. And the big goal is in each of these cities, and there's 270 cities. And this is a larger goal. I don't tell a lot of people on this, but I'll drop this here. Going back in history, too, there was a thing called gerrymandering, and the lines were redrawn on us, right? If we start to build city centers, 40 acres at a time, which is a $27 billion project that we're going to get from a lot of these corporations and government officials in opportunity zones, and all have a way to invest in that. We can actually redraw the lines and put whoever we want in power and also gain the economic justice that we deserve, not asking for a handout for anybody. So that's an even larger vision. So sometimes when you think of vision, you got to think big. But for now, come show up at the 40 Acre Conference, right? Let's do some cash flow, community, and culture, and then we'll take it from there.
I love it. I love it. Love it.
40acreconference.org. 40acreconference.org.
All right. Well, you heard it there. 40acreconference.org. Alan, it's been a pleasure. Look, I'm going to have you back. I'm going to have to see if I can get him back. Masterclass. Maybe we'll do some type of, I don't know, collaboration where I get people to the tech platform as well. You always welcome back. Anything you need from us over here at Rise Urban Nation. We are your family and we here to support. That being said, it's been another edition. Make sure you guys check out the conference, January 14th to 17th, 40 Acre Conference. Any last words, Alan, for the people?
Man, so the only way that we are able to move forward is if we start, and not start having conversations, but if we start having implementations. And whatever that is for you, just start right now, right? If you have that business, if you have the idea, it's that time. If you all don't see us on the podcast, right? We literally, he said we could step out on the red carpet right now, but we have to start. The new year starts right now, and let's pull up and do whatever that goal, that dream. Put it on a vision board tonight. If you don't have a board, put it on a digital computer. Get some pictures from your computer and put it on a Google Sheet so you can see it and pull it up anytime during the day and save it as your screensaver. But let's just start the goals. We can accomplish more than we can even believe, think, or imagine. And that's a promise that has been given to us in this life. But we have to believe it, and we have to do our part to actually receive it.
Woo! I couldn't think of a better way to end off. And like my man Wallow says, and it's just like that.
Man, I appreciate you, King. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Rise Urban Nation.
Thank you for taking the journey.
Be sure to like, comment, and smash that subscribe button. And stay connected with Terrell on and off the show. Follow at Rise Urban Nation on all platforms.
Do what you love what you do. Don't chase the money. Let the money chase you.